You know, I think another thing.
This conference will now be recorded.
I think we should look at
right.
credit score.
9 o'clock. Okay. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. That's an interesting one.
Well, you know, if you're gonna work with other people's money, you should show that you're responsible.
Well, yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna say you're not wrong. Kick this off. Got a whole lot of comments coming after you, Kent. There's some people out.
Did you have a public comment? No.
Oh, is anybody out there with public comment? Yeah. Ah. That's a. That's
not Halloween yet.
That's a clever use. I think it is Halloween. I've never seen nothing like it.
Throw it in the trash.
Mike, I tell you, there's something else too much. Wait, Mike, I wanna get a picture of you. I mean, nobody's gonna ever believe me.
Why?
Well, because.
We have to have a picture for the mask contest in the paper, so they can take one of me in a mask or one of the employees in a mask, so I volunteered. This is what I come up with.
You should
Clever.
be on the front
Good.
page.
See y'all.
But you know what you proved? You're just better seen than not heard. Have a great day,
This
Mike.
smells good. Please don't stink.
Well, sometimes he almost makes me want to vote for him.
Yeah. Anybody else out there? I don't know. Don't get no more like you just brought in. Well, it started off with a smile. I'm all right with that. Yeah. Can't see it, but I'm smiling. All right. Well, no more public. I'm not seeing any public comments on the chat box. All right. We'll go ahead and close public comments and move on to our administrative business.
Okay. In your packet, you have the sales tax reports. Sales tax was $64,779.76.
Boy, couldn't prove it through any problems, did we? Last 4 months. Yeah. Not the sales tax. Not by sales tax.
People stayed home.
Stayed home, bought at home.
And then you have the monthly warrant register.
Okay.
And the grand total payday is $1,785,481.93. And you have the warrant register, and the hard copy is over there, so if you have any questions about payday or.
First off, out of the warrants, I'm gonna go ahead and make a motion to approve for Western Associates, for this payday of $4,324.50. Second. Second by Randy. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I abstained.
All abstention? All those opposed?
Aye. So I'll still say it's a conflict of interest for him to be spending that kind of money at the county.
I'll go ahead and make a motion then to approve the Health Services Inc. amount of $46.50.
Second. Motion by Kent, second by Randy. All those in favor?
Aye.
3 ayes, 1 abstention. All opposed?
Aye.
All right. As far as the register as a whole, motion to approve, or any questions or concerns with the warrants?
Would any of those on the warrant register ever end up being COVID-related expenses?
Yes, the ones that you see on risk management, and a lot of those are, and we are submitting those as an expense with the Spark money,
It's
so.
kind of hard to tell. I mean, I was just looking at one here under page 11, under appraisers is a mobile office, but then I see it looks like it's a renewal. So-
That is their tool that they take out in the field with them.
Yeah, I kind of wondered about that. I just-
So that's a regular
That would be a
expense.
COVID.
That is not COVID.
Program.
Hearing no other discussion, I'll go ahead and make a motion to approve the grand total payday at $1,785,481.93.
I'll second.
Second by Diane. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. 5-0.
Okay, I will let you all sign off on the payroll board and the warrant register, if you would, please. While you are doing that, I did hear from Bryce this morning. He's not on the agenda or anything, but he wanted you all to know that the road and bridge crews were out during the night, checking for flooding, putting up signs, especially at 290th and Remington, not together, 290th. Right.
Didn't get over. Oh, 290, okay.
Got over Coast Road.
Did it, to get over those. You guys got more up this way than we did. I just now, this morning, looked, we've got an inch and a half through the whole week. Total.
An inch and a half yesterday.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
We've had 330 all.
330, okay, wow.
I'm over 4 inches.
You're over 4. Well, I heard somebody on the, it was on Channel 12 News last night, somewhere had either 4.5 or 5.4, I don't know which it was, Strong City.
I'm close to 5 inches.
They had over 4 out of Dresden.
Wow, that's why the problem was running.
Yeah, it's really running.
Yeah.
So, next is supplements.
Yep. These are just one.
That, is he gonna be here?
No.
Okay.
He is calling in. He is not able to come because of a health matter, so.
Okay.
But he is available and he's on, intending to discuss the items that. Just a matter of information for you in your packets. As I was doing the minutes, I realized that the transport fuel bid was not figured correctly last Monday that you approved. It was too late to recall the bid, but they bid only 3,000 gallons instead of 3,500 on one line, which made them low bidder. So I just wanted to report that back to you, just for your information, that, they had already awarded the bid, but they had not done the math correctly on that, so.
So,
There's no action to take, I just
Okay.
wanted you to be aware, and I will state it in the minutes that there's a correction, but
so they wouldn't have been low bidder?
they would not have, no. The bid from, the bid from Cooperative Green, the corrected bid, as you see in your packet, was 13,178.85. EPS was 12,996.05, and MFA was 13,188.80. So they would have been in the middle there.
But that one was separated by area. right?
This one was not. This is the transport.
Okay, got it.
Yeah. we have the minutes of July 24th and the minutes of July 27th.
Everybody had a chance to read the minutes of July 27th? Any questions or concerns?
27?
Yeah.
And you said it was 24th?
Oh,
Yeah, there's the
I
24th
skipped over
and the 27th,
I
yeah.
skipped over the 24th. All right, anybody had any questions with either one?
I did.
If not, I'll go ahead and make a motion to approve the minutes of July 24th.
Second.
Second by Dave. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. 5-0. And with that, I'll go ahead and make a motion to approve the minutes from July 27th.
Second.
Got a second by Kent. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
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 5-0. Should be some handouts.
Here's the minutes for you to sign. Thank you.
Transportation alternative.
Yeah. Let me see if I can turn you down.
Yeah.
I think Bryce is, I'm not sure if Bryce is on here. Yeah, brought these up for signature, but since he was not on, I just put it during administrative time. If there are questions, our next meeting's not until the 10th, so.
Make sure it's turned down.
The first one is, a project, concept.
The
Bridge.
arch, the
Bridge
arch
building.
that's, what is it, up by Center?
Yes.
Yeah.
If there's a map there.
Yeah. Needs a little attention to the bottom, wing wall.
There's still a lot of them around.
Yeah.
Does anybody live on that road?
I don't
mean,
know.
just that one picture, it almost looks like the road is just a cow path.
Yeah, it's not too much, but I don't know if there's anybody up there.
I'm just wondering if, I mean,
Probably going back to the field, I would imagine.
It's that 1887 on that bridge.
yeah.
I think if you have specific questions, we may, I mean, I don't know if Bryce is available by phone if we call him, but I don't know any of the details on this one, I'm sorry.
Sorry.
Or you could table it if you would like until the 10th.
You know, just questioning the priority to this.
Go ahead and jump over to the permit. 'Cause
Okay.
That one I actually know.
All right.
So we have a Tri-County telephone, looking for easement along Indigo, north, easement north of 56, 1,250 feet. To install fiber optic cable on the right of way on Indigo Road. It would be permit number 2020-14. I'll go ahead and make a motion to approve the permit.
Second.
Second by Randy. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
That has nothing to do with the city hills, so, fiber optic.
Yeah, it looks like it's an extension of Powell, from what I can tell, going north to First Farmstead. So it's actually after it gets to Hillsborough, it's going back to the north. But I'm just assuming. And this also tags along with it, I believe. Code of conduct.
This one is for the emergency repair project 57C 5046-01 that we are doing in conjunction with NRCS. And we have done projects with them before. We have adopted all those documents before, but they always ask for new ones. And so in order to receive their assistance as a federal and state agencies, we have to do this again.
That'd be nice to see what project number 57-C-5046-01 is.
Yeah. Yeah.
Jonah, I'm here if you need.
Oh, good.
Thank you, Bryce. All right. Well, we skipped over the transportation alternative until maybe you could get off. And then we went ahead and took care of the permit for Tri-County because I felt comfortable with
Okay.
that one. The emergency repair on the code of conduct is what we are on. But either one of those, we can, whichever one you're ready to give us a little more guidance on.
Okay, well, it's like Tina said, this emergency repair stuff is just part of the, basically what they call a qualification-based selection system that we have to go back. We've selected the consultant to do that, and this is just part of the paperwork that we have to send in for the process to continue. So it's just a matter of formality, like Tina said, that we have to sign this in order to get their assistance.
I think the question, Bryce, was where this project is located.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
This is the culvert replacement on 290th.
So
And
it's on
Nighthawk.
290th.
This is that
Yeah.
project about the culvert replacement that he's been talking about since maybe
Yeah.
fall last year.
290th and what?
What's that?
We're out on 290th. Is it right there by, it's not by your ox, right?
Yes.
Oh, it is. It's that,
That
oh, so
Nighthawk.
it's that cement bridge.
No. It's not the bridge. It's the culverts east of the Nighthawk intersection. Where the floodwaters went over top of the road, washed out some of the shoulders and slopes, and the road is kind of sunk a little bit.
Okay.
Okay, and we have received funding for this, or we will receive funding for this
Yes.
as a match.
Yeah, this,
County has a,
since 290 is a federal aid secondary road, this is actually gonna get reimbursed 80/20 from the Federal Highway Administration.
and that's why they're requiring the document.
So
Yes.
after hearing that from Bryce, I'll go ahead and make a motion to approve this code of conduct for project number 57-C-5046-01. Second by Kent. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, 5-0.
Okay, and then,
Then we got the transportation alternative program here, Bryce.
Yes.
Bridge up by Center.
Yeah, this is the transportation alternative program is something they just come back with. Essentially, they look for special projects. You know, this can be historic preservation or basically other than what like regular transportation alternatives. And looking at everything else, one of the things they look for is historical structures, and this one come to mind. We also have another stone bridge south of Peabody, or Stone Arch, that is in a lot worse shape than this and probably will have to be replaced with something else. But this one here, talking over with people and obviously with PBH, they're the ones that are kind of ramrodding this whole program through the state, is that they thought this would be an excellent project to try to get some money to rehab that and save it.
Doesn't look like it's a road that has much traffic on it.
Well, it isn't, and that in itself is, I say, the biggest thing is if this continues to fail or whatever else, our two options are to tear it down, close the road, or tear it down and put in something else. Well, this is a place to where we, obviously there's a tremendous amount of historical stuff, even with the nameplate and everything else still involved in here, that's what we thought we could use some of this money to get it back in good shape. And part of that is we could go back and work on the road. There's quite a few farmers that use it, but they're obviously leery about going over the top of it the way it looks. Structurally, it's still pretty sound as far as the arch and everything, as the report shows. But it's just the approaches and things like that and going over the top of the stone itself.
With it being repaired, Bryce, what kind of load limit are you gonna have on it?
Well, that will, I don't know if that will change directly or whatever else. The biggest thing is we'll have to figure out when we get down there. The arch itself is in fantastic condition for its age. One of the things that does show there's a little bit, maybe a scour down there, and you never really know what exactly you're gonna get till you get down there to try to fix it.
Right.
But obviously it's like a road. If you lose your abutments or whatever else, then you're gonna lose everything else. And based on what it looks like, these are kind of difficult to try to rate because there's not a lot of historical data on them or new engineering. But if we were to go in there and fix up the scour and stuff with those abutments, I think we could definitely increase the rating that it will have when we're done. So.
But you are right, the one down, if you're talking about the one just within a half mile south of Peabody?
Yeah, as you go head south on 60th and you take off going southwest down there. Yeah, it's washing out, and they did some work on it, I guess, the past couple of years, but it's basically past that point that we're probably going to have to replace it with something else.
The traffic on that would 10 times what this road would be.
Well, yeah, basically the damage or the current condition of that down there would not warrant trying to spend. They're going to say that we could turn around and put a brand new structure in there, less expensive than what we could to rehab that one.
Yeah.
So, but like I said, with this one here, it still has a tremendous amount of historical value.
Okay.
I know they're getting cost share, but it's still maybe $2,000 local share. I mean, that money better spent somewhere else, just here in the back and forth. I mean.
Well, and here's the deal. It's kind of a frustrating thing that this is what KDOT has gone to now. Is this basically has not even been accepted as a project. You have to submit a concept design to them by the end of the month. They in turn look at those, select the ones they think there are good candidates, and then you actually have to turn around and put a more representative cost estimate and whatever else. Talking with Darren Neufeld with EPA, he's actually done one of these before, and he was going to investigate with that contractor that did that and get maybe a little bit more idea. Again, this is all kind of a best guess based on previous engineering stuff as to what these costs would be. So that cost is not going to be a definite by any means, but we first of all have to even be approved in order to do that, and then second of all, we have to turn around and actually submit like I said, a much better estimate and scope and stuff to that effect, and then they would in turn have to accept that also.
So you're saying this is just the application process?
Yes, it's like with the cost share and everything else we have, that basically was the same thing. You know, we submitted a project and we were up against $107 million worth of funds. Well, now with this TA program, they're actually kind of putting another step in there to try to, you know, if you want to say, wean these out a little bit, to basically to make sure that they're doing the same thing to provide proper money for the projects that they feel would be warranted. So,
Do you think, in your opinion, Bryce, that our share will be more than what we could replace it with something else at our cost share?
well, again, the issue comes down to, as far as those costs or whatever else, the biggest thing is the unknowns. You know, if we do, I mean, we've got a couple options. We can leave it like it is until it gets bad enough. We either close it or replace it. We can repair it, whatever the case may be. But not knowing what the size of the culvert and things like that, you know, these streams and stuff we have around here, case in point was the flooding we had last night. We've got a lot more drift to worry about too. So if we go back and replace this with an actual bridge structure, we're looking at, you know, again, probably at least a year or two of permits and all that other stuff before we even get to the design, to where this right here is already, you know, ready to go. We could do that. The other option would be wait until it gets bad enough that we just close the road and make people go around. So, yeah, like I said, my thought, at least, if we could turn this in, and if it came back as being as one of them that we could submit a plan for, you know, there's still no guarantee that we would get money for it or whatever else. And there's basically, we wouldn't have to down the road go with the project. If they did select it, we could, you know, if you decide later on you didn't want to do it, we could just come back and said, you know, we've changed our minds, we're going elsewhere, so they could turn around and give the money to somebody else too. So, you know, we were just looking, the fact is, if we could get some more cost share to help our situation.
Yeah, and I understand this historical part of the thing like that. And, I don't know whether we have any fracture critical bridges, any of the 6 or so that's historically bridge, or whether we could get some help on that or not.
Well, those come down to the fact is that that's not really what this TA program was for. This is for more special, unique operations. I mean, there's anywhere from building renovations and stuff like that. It's kind of other than the mainstream transportation items. So, but the problem with our bridges and infrastructure critical stuff like that, they essentially face the same issue. And the fact is, it's based on traffic volumes, width. You know, we've got probably 30 bridges that are considered structurally deficient or functionally obsolete, whatever the case may be, that we could work on. But the problem is most of the time we can't get any kind of federal money to replace those unless we get it in the local bridge improvement program, which we'll be submitting by the end of August also. So it's like anything else, there's only so much money out there from KDOT and the federal government to get for these things.
Okay.
No, I agree that, you know, these historical ones are kind of nice to hold on to, but just looking at this one, it doesn't look to me like you can get anything other than a pickup or car down the road. Doesn't look like you could even get farm equipment down it.
Well, the road is wide enough. There's not a problem on that. The part of the problem is with the bridge being like it is and the water being up around it is the bridge really I mean, obviously when you drive up and over the top of the stones, you're driving right up over top of the bridge. All that would be basically covered up with a new deck and things like that, so that as far as the bridge itself, you would have a much better bridge crossing and stuff like that. And as far as the road and stuff, you know, basically the reason that it's in the shape it is now is because we haven't been back in there to fix it after flooding and stuff like that. But I think with, you know, it's no different than just a regular rebuild. We could go in and do quite a bit of work and bring it back to a much better functioning roadway.
Okay. Well, I just thinking public perception. If we're out there rebuilding a bridge on a road like this and we've got problems with other bridges, taxpayers might say, what in the world are you doing?
Yeah, but it's honestly, it's not any different than any of our other bridges that basically provide a farm to market access that are being used, you know, so I mean, I understand that. And again, I just thought we could submit this. Like I said, this is only preliminary concept. If it does come back approved, then we could go ahead and submit that. Then, you know, we're not locked to anything there if we decide to do that later on. But, you know, it's always a chance to try to get this money there, whether we decide to finally do it or not. But I'm guessing it's probably going to take them, you know, a couple months to go through all this, because I'm sure they're going to get the same amount of applications they had before and all the other stuff. So again, this doesn't lock us into anything.
I'm satisfied with what I hear, but if it comes back and it's gonna cost the county 20,000 or more, I'm probably gonna axe the project. So that's where I'm at, Mr. Chairman.
I just, you know, we got problems everywhere. The 80 some thousand could go somewhere else, but I guess I don't have a problem with applying and seeing what happens.
See what happens, Joe.
Yeah. So, okay.
Yeah. And like I said, I think we will have this basically come up fairly quickly. We've only had a couple of weeks to try to put all this together in this concept. But if it does come back as being able to be submitted again, we'll have so much better of a cost estimate, things like this, after consulting with some people that work around that kind of stuff. So part of the other problem is when you, unfortunately, when you deal with this kind of stuff, is it's not like every Tom, Dick, and Harry locally wants to touch something like this, because there is the liability of damaging what's there already. So in a way, you kind of pay a premium for that kind of work too. But I you know, like I said, that was just my thought. We'll submit this concept, and if it does come back as, you know, because I mean, I don't know what the other values of projects that are coming in on, but you know, they've only got so much money to try to fix these things too. So,
is there a keystone on both sides of the bridge?
I think the keystone, the keystone is shown on the pictures on the top side, or on the approach side. I don't remember if the other one was in that good a shape or whether it was actually gone. With all the weeds and stuff like that, there's a lot of stuff around there that was tough to see. But this keystone right here, I think, is in fantastic condition, considering it's 30 years old.
Yeah.
So,
no matter what comes of it, that probably needs to be kept and preserved.
Yeah, and that's the other thing that we had talked about too was, you know, being the unofficial lover's lane of their, for anybody that's up there, I guess is what it's called. But if you can get local influence, historical people, stuff like that, to write letters of support, that helps also. And you know, like we did on the cost share, I think that's probably what kicked us into the running, was because we submitted 17 or 18 letters of support. So that goes a long way as far as the state and feds go.
Okay. All right. I think I know everything I need to know for Bryce. I don't know. Anybody?
If you ever get a chance to go down and walk underneath one of these, there's one over at Clements, the big one. I mean, 300 times bigger than this one, and it's just neat to see what our forefathers have, how they built a bridge back then with stones. I'm amazed every time I look at one. This is one of them, but there's a big one over at Clements, so just right off the highway.
And it also goes to show you that we're building new structures today that only last 60 to 80 years.
Yeah.
You know, this one here has been sitting here for 130 years already, and it still is in great shape, other than, you know, with the scour and stuff, there's been an awful lot of water going through there. But like I said, I guess my feeling is I would like to see this at least submitted, and then as it comes back, if it's approved, then we can make that final decision to go further or not go farther, and or what we want to do with this down the road. So because again, we're not locked into anything. We're just waiting to see if they're they think it's worthwhile too.
Thank you. All right.
You need a motion or just approval?
So, is it okay to just read that comment?
Yeah, yeah.
There was a comment on the chat that just asked what the cost for the engineering would be for the old bridge, and according to this document, the design engineering is listed at 40,000. So,
Is that something that you'll do, Bryce?
Well,
Design
the
engineering?
biggest thing is just, the biggest thing is just the permits and all that other stuff to go with it. Again, these are always overestimated, and most of the time, when they finally come back with an actual plan, it's a maximum dollar amount or whatever the case may be. But there's a lot of things that I can do and that would reduce those costs. One of the things is like I'm going to do on the cost share out here on Nighthawk is, if I'm the inspector, then we don't have to pay for outside inspection either. So that's a huge savings when it comes to something like this.
So is that a yes to the design engineering that you'll be doing that?
I won't be able to do all the design engineering because I won't be able to design the plans and stuff that need to be done for that. But again, I'll do everything I can to reduce those costs with a situation, for instance, like surveying. I won't be able to do that. We'd have to hire that out too. So, but.
And then there's no cost to this as far as application fees or anything like
Correct,
that?
correct. Like I said, we're really not bound by anything but saying this. We just have to see if they come back and make approval, and then if they recommend for approval, then we can figure out whether we want to do this for sure or not. And again, we will come up with a little bit better revised estimates. Anytime you submit this stuff, you always overestimate what you're looking at, just to make sure you've got it covered. And then when you come back, you can usually reduce that, and then that gives you some contingencies and stuff to that effect.
Yes, I'm ready to move on one way or the other. I would, how the rest of the board feels.
I have no problem moving on with it.
I think submit it.
Okay. I entertain a motion to approve.
I move that we submit this to the state for approval.
I'll second it.
Submit the application for approval by Dave, seconded by Diane. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
and I think I asked for signature. Was that all?
Aye, yeah.
I'm sorry.
There
It
was-
says 5-0.
5-0.
Okay.
I don't see a signature,
Oh, okay.
so.
Okay. Did you have anything else? If not, I have another appointment that I needed to get to.
No, I appreciate it, Bryce. Thank you for
Okay,
getting on here.
thanks. Bye.
Bye.
Well, we do have Brad on the call. Oh, sorry, there was one more thing you had.
Yeah, asked about the 1.5.
Yes, you had asked us to provide what the 1.5% increase would be. And that is the 55 to 55.
That factors all those other,
Yeah, so there were other changes that made an increase from 2020 budget to 2021. Those are changes in personnel that were authorized by the commission. Addition of staff or change in status from full-time to part-time in different areas. And so those changes are, you can see the differences in the different departments for those. But, so that 5204, 406 is with 0% for any increase, but at the current staffing levels that have already been approved. And then the 1.5% you asked for is the 55 to 55 number. And then here are the employee benefit estimates, not exact, of course, but that's at a 0%. So that without any increases, and then at a 1.5%, what those differences would be. So I didn't give you the math on subtracting that out, but I didn't have a chance to get that, I'm sorry. But it's there for your consideration. And I think that Scott needs to know if you want to include something like that, or what you want to do with wages,
That's
so
why
that
it
he
has
can
to
be
be
ready
ready.
for your Wednesday meeting, so.
Again, that was just a number I threw out, I didn't know where it would be, where it would
Right.
fall out or anything.
Right,
like that.
exactly, so that is what that figure came to by department.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
We need to have this for Scott, so I mean, are we one way or the other?
I'd say leave it included.
Several times.
Right?
Yeah,
Yeah. Just as many times as
I'm
you want.
in favor of it.
You can? No. Well,
So,
gee.
I have no problem with it.
We have to make a motion or,
Consensus is fine with me, it's not,
we have five,
We
zero.
can still cut it if we
Okay.
want to. We can still cut it.
okay.
Down to the end of the budget.
I vote.
Okay, I will, let him know after the meeting, so he can get that in there and do what he needs to do.
Are you around this weekend? Come on.
And when you mention him, we've got a Wednesday morning at 8 o'clock.
9 o'clock.
9 o'clock, 9 o'clock, that's right.
You,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
changed
yeah.
it to 9 o'clock.
Yeah, well, he was also gonna be at mountain time, so.
Well, and he has said that his conference is not happening, but he'll still be online.
Okay.
And so I failed, I do have other commitment that morning, so I may not be here. I forgot, I didn't even have it on my calendar when I looked at it originally. So I won't be able to be
Okay.
here either, so.
Do we need to change it? Because you're gonna have to probably decide how you want the budget.
Right, we had the
that
option
day.
of Wednesday or Thursday, if I remember correctly, right?
Let me look at,
We talked about Wednesday or Thursday.
and Scott had sent me an email afterward when he said his conference was canceled. May I go check to see
Yeah,
when
yeah.
he's available? Because I think that you all need to be,
Because you
you're gonna have to make
You had
decisions.
election stuff too in here.
Yeah, that's the reason why
Yes,
we,
I do.
that's why I think I remember it being Wednesday or Thursday. We had
We
this.
discussed both days.
Wednesday, it turned out to be Wednesday because he was gonna be on the golf course Thursday.
Yeah.
Apparently not gonna be there.
Got change yours.
I was surprised that they hadn't canceled
I won't
it.
change it, I've had this
Yeah.
appointment now for 2 months.
Yeah.
So I just don't want it to be unexpected, and
If it
everybody
was-
has to make up an excuse why I'm not here.
Unless somebody had
Oh, we'll make
something
excuses.
else, I think I'd.
Well, I know some
switch it all the way to
people
the
do.
end
You can do it on
too,
your phone.
just-
No,
never know
if
what's
you
gonna
change it to
change.
Thursday, I can do it on the computer.
County boards, they're gonna get you.
Watch the video glitch.
Okay. He could do the 6th or the 7th. He said 6th, 7th, or 8th, but I think the 8th is Saturday. And the 7th, we have election audit in the morning and mail ballot counting in the afternoon. So the 7th would not be a good day. So, but he could potentially do the 6th, which is the Thursday.
The Monday, or no.
No, it's
I'll
the
look at
2
that
days
all.
after, it'd be a Thursday, right?
6, 7, 8 is a Saturday.
Right, so I don't know that he has his dates right there. I don't know that he'd wanna do it on a Saturday, but
Like I said, I
we
thought it
could
was
do the
5th,
Thursday, the 6th.
5th, 6th, and 7th.
Yeah,
I could be on the computer on the 6th, if we move it on to Thursday.
okay.
I have no problem with that.
I don't have any problem with that either. I mean,
Okay.
whatever it takes, I mean, we need everybody to be a part of it, so.
Okay, so, change it to the Thursday.
And then I'll be on the computer.
Same time.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, I'll verify with him that he's available still. So it'll be Thursday, August 6th at 9.
Yes.
Okay.
So,
Why don't we move to the mass directive and
yeah.
I'm just asking, I'm getting a lot of feedback here from, on the 2.3 million. And we have not been, I mean, they've been having meetings and stuff, And I don't know where they're heading or anything. We're hearing of other counties doing different things. And I'm just asking the commission, just where they feel, I mean, and there's some directives on that, I mean, for what we spend it on. And I need to read more. But where are we at? I mean, I'm hearing one school board, you know, one school, they're wanting $250,000. And I don't know where we're at. I'm just, what I'm getting at is
So-
if this board presents us with something and we don't like it, we still, that's why we asked so we can approve it. But I don't know the board members well enough to know where their directives, you know, where their directions at, so.
I've been listening to it.
Okay, Dave, yeah.
And I feel that it's a good group of people and they're still getting ready. Would you say, Tina?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I haven't been on, but I probably should be sending those minutes to all of you so that you can all be more aware of what
Okay.
they're doing. I know that they have a meeting scheduled on election day at 2 o'clock on the computer.
At Tabor College also.
Okay.
You could go in person to the library,
Okay.
2 to 5.
So
Wow.
they're working on those expenses. They've kind of got an idea of how they want to try to break it out with the different agencies, but it's not complete by any means. And they know that it's got to come back here for approval, so.
Okay, but we haven't talked or done anything amongst ourselves or anything, so.
I think the first round of approval is just the reimbursements, right? It isn't
The direct aid, well, the direct aid plan is also due on the same day as the reimbursements.
Yeah, they've been trying to use a percent, you know, for each.
To set a
category.
maximum, yeah. I mean, the schools have the most expense of any agency, and so they will probably be getting the biggest share. I know that there's a county proposal in there for an emergency management trailer. That's part of it. Most of the counties most of what the county is gonna request is to pay for expenses we've already had. And then just a few small other things. Public health is requesting some money for probably increased testing and some different things there, which we're gonna have to be prepared for. But there's not, and then there's a few things still coming up that have to be ordered for the November election, which we're gonna, I'm requesting to put in there as a direct aid, but, for the most part, a big portion, it looks like, is going to be to help the schools be ready and to protect our students and teachers, so.
Well, I mean, I just think the makeup of that, I would trust them to, you know, get us what they're thinking, you know, in opportune time to do something that looks pretty good.
So I trust the board as well, but I would just say that at my juvenile detention meeting that I had here the other week, which is all commissioners and things from other counties, the other counties actually are hiring this agency out of Washington who has done these type of things because they say that that particular money that we're getting is gonna be scrutinized so stringent, and once we issue it and they come back and they're gonna check it, and we issue money, and they say, well, this was not a legitimate cost, we, the county, will pay it back. So they said they're not taking any chances, and they say that it's a cost. For example, Riley County, Manhattan, that area and stuff, they're getting $34 million. And so, and I can't remember what the cost for this agency out of Washington is.
I think they're paying $150,000.
So, it's huge, but, you know, they said they don't care because, you know, they've seen with stuff like this, the county's gonna be responsible for it 100%.
Well, and that's what you have engaged Scott Lloyd's firm for, and he has experience at the federal level also. And then, there will be a single audit of the funds, and so we have that built in for a reimbursement out of the funds. There was something else I was gonna tell you.
That's all right, yeah,
Sorry.
what I heard on TV there again, I heard something about, one county was going directly to reimburse funds like we're doing for the cafes and things like that. I think it was for the bar or something to that.
You could go and do business grants, but the first round of funding is actually for public agencies.
Yeah.
And other rounds of funding are supposed to be coming, which are for private.
Yeah, there's so many different ones out here that you
Yeah.
gotta make sure what they're talking about is the one we're talking about.
The other thing I was gonna tell you is that ambulance department is including, requests for funds for 2 portable ventilators, which could be used if we have a large surge and need those for transporting critical patients, so.
It all evolves,
Yeah.
still
Yeah.
evolving.
Well,
It
just
is.
yesterday, I seen that the HEALS Act or something popping out. It's another
That's the
billion.
newest, that's the newest stimulus package,
Yeah.
if they get it through.
Big money, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's all
Yeah.
about the money.
Yeah, well, it ain't free. We're gonna pay it back.
Yep. It's gonna cost us dearly in the
It's
long
gonna
run.
cost us federally.
Thank you.
Yeah, I feel
Thanks, Dave.
it's, you're doing a good job.
Good.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Of talking it through and thinking about it.
Yeah, I've been watching the correspondence between them, and, you know, I haven't been digging through the weeds. But I've seen that they're actually on the stick on a lot of things.
Are you going out there in the swamp, are you?
Yeah. Okay, well, in the sticks.
Okay, it's big.
We have a very trustworthy committee.
Yeah, yeah.
It's good deal.
All right. Gonna go ahead and move it forward to the commission discussion, mass directive.
So the document you have was sent by Brad, and he is on. He's willing to discuss anything. Hold on one second.
He's definitely on.
Sounds like he's underwater.
Yeah, he's swimming this morning up there.
Hey Brad, can you hear us?
I can.
Okay. I thought maybe you could, but I wanted to make sure we can hear you. Okay. So, there are several areas of this that have questions or places to fill in, and, so I'm sure, like one on page 4, there's a couple of places, section, section 1 up there with, the letter 1C, and then an exemption, there's a choice on the ages for children, there's some other things in here, so, anyway.
And so on page 2, do we need to change it where it says, whereas securing the health, safety, and economic well-being of the residents of Hardin County, that's the top part already?
Which paragraph is that?
It's a little over half, it's a little tiny one sentence.
Okay, yeah.
See that?
Actually, no, I'd kind of like to leave it Harvey County because that's where I live.
Ah,
Whoa. Boo.
I think that actually is my fault on that one because I typed in specific sections of some of those that Deidre had already put in, and I think it had borrowed from Sedgwick County. And it probably just from sheer habit typed in without even thinking Harvey County, so that's my apology.
So Brad, can you go through it for us so that we don't miss out on any key points?
I can sort of go through it. The vast majority of it is something that Deidre had prepared as part of that original order that you'd previously been provided. What I did was change it over to a resolution, and generally wherever she had specified, the local health officer order, I changed it to resolution as it fit, and then basically used the term directive throughout as much as I possibly could where that fit in as well. Generally, what the first portion does is outlines chronologically the different activities that have gone on, including the governor's executive order, the local emergency disaster declaration, as well as the federal declarations that have occurred, all leading up to the ability for counties in this circumstance to regulate regarding certain specific health requirements, protocols, initiatives, and I hesitate as much as I can to use the term mandate based upon our earlier discussion. So the sections that she had put in there
set out a general encouragement and requirement for the use of face coverings. It also endorses the other CDC requirements for hygienic types of activity, hand washing, etc. It does empower local businesses to go ahead and make a requirement as a condition for providing either service or commodities or whatever it may be, depending upon what it is that they commercially do. The requirement that any patron wear a mask, so they can request that they leave the premises if in fact they fail to follow that requirement that they've outlined. I don't believe it specifies an absolute posting, but as a practical matter, any business that wants to enforce that should be encouraged to do so. It allows for you to set dates on this, both as to implementation as well as the sunset on it that you can renew. So near the end of it, because of the way this is now changed to a resolution, you'll want to fill in those specific dates. Since it's a county resolution that covers the entire county, obviously changing Harvey to Marion. Beyond that, I don't know there's a great deal else that we need to add. What I have done in theory here is turned it into, at Deidre's request, a county commission resolution adopting her recommendation and what would otherwise be a local health officer order. And I know there had been the earlier question at the last meeting about whether this creates greater confusion. I don't know that I can answer that very readily. I mean, I think it's all in the beholder. Those who read it, it's fairly well set out based upon the information and the suggested language she provided, what we're asking that they do. And the long and the short of it really is primarily a directive that population wear a mask, and it outlines the circumstances where that directive is applicable. Closed environments, no social distancing readily available in any kind of a public setting.
Brad, under the wearing of masks or other face coverings for individuals, when it states shall, that still sounds like a mandate to me. Number two, businesses and organizations must. That sounds like a mandate to me.
Yeah, and I don't disagree with you. I tried to walk that line. We can, again, if we change it too much, then there's no point in even going forward with it. Because what it will come down to is right now where you're sitting, you're encouraging strongly that people do so, but we don't have any kind of a mandate and or directive. And in essence, what Deidre's order did was basically defer to, for the most part, the governor's earlier emergency order. And that specifies it the same language, the same way. So it really comes down to what the commission wants to do. If you're really at a point yet where you say, we're just not prepared to tell people that strongly that they should do this, then taking action on this is probably ill-advised.
So, Brad,
or I'm happy to change it as you see fit as well. But again, the more of that we remove, the closer we are to what we're currently doing.
So Brad, you made a comment that it actually allots the businesses to enforce people to wear masks in their businesses or ask them to leave if they don't. I'm under the impression that they have that authority at this point in time anyway, just because it's their business.
They really do.
Okay.
They really do.
Thank you.
I mean, the ability for them currently, based upon what we've done and what the governor's directive allows for, what you did based upon 2016 House Bill 2016 that became law, gives you the ability to be less strident than what the state mandates in case through an emergency order of the governor's office. And that's rare for us to be able to do that. We can usually be more strident, but not less statutorily. This turns that on its head. What you did was simply say, no, we're not going to go ahead and make that an absolute, or we'll use the term mandate. We're going to let the local businesses and citizenry decide for themselves. This takes it a step further. There isn't any question that otherwise there's no reason to even do it. I tried to take out as much of the mandate language as I could, but really in order for this to have any efficacy at all, some of what's in there just parrots what Deidre had in her earlier submission to you. So it really, that, like I said, it kind of comes down to how much you want to add to what's already in place.
And so, Brad, may I ask one more question? And so,
Yes.
oh no, never mind. I'm gonna retract that. Sorry. I'll wait.
I've been paying attention to the KDHE stuff last few days. I know there's some lag time, but the other day, the whole state of Kansas, I think, if you look at the date, 16 cases. I mean, I don't know.
But I still feel that we need to pass this and be later. Marion went ahead without us, and they didn't seem to be any problems. Everybody is participating in town. There's been no flag, you know.
Wait a minute, there's been
Yeah,
flag.
I've had some
There's been
flag.
flag.
Yeah.
Right, right. But I think, you know, we should do this till after Labor Day, because that's the next big group to get together.
But I'm also looking around at other counties that made the mandate, and their numbers are climbing. So I mean, well, how are we doing this if it's just, if it doesn't affect the numbers?
Or just try, this is a crapshoot, you know.
So, Brad, may I ask you another question? I'm gonna go ahead and ask that question now.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry,
Yes.
I'm gonna try to do it as respectfully as possible, okay? So, Mr. Crowfoot stands to profit from this quite largely. Would that not be a conflict of interest from him if we put in if he participates, shall I say, in the vote and so on of the mandate? Would you deem that as a conflict of interest?
And how do I profit from it?
Well, you sold $1,900 worth of masks to the county alone. That's profit. That's a conflict of interest. When we did the deal up north with the Ring Tower, was the closest conflict that I've ever had. I left the courthouse and did not participate in the discussion that day, nor was I allowed to cast a vote because of the appearance of impropriety. I'm asking you if you deem that as a conflict. I mean, that was brought to my attention. I said that I would certainly ask that question.
I'm gonna go ahead and put it
And the question that you're asking now is directed at me,
Yes, it
or were
is.
you still just?
No,
Yeah,
I was
okay.
asking you.
It's at best an indirect issue, and generally they won't label that as an absolute. Now, if a commissioner feels it's sufficient from their perspective, I'm not going to tell them it's impermissible for them to recuse themselves in a case like that. But this is not the same as if we were voting on something where it's dependent upon that particular commissioner's personal business receiving a direct order for, you know, some large amount of purchases. Yes, because the business indirectly provides different types of commodities, and that includes these masks that some people may use. You know, the discussion can be had. It's a valid question, but I don't think it rises based upon the case law to the level of an absolute conflict in this instance. It really comes down more to the comfort level of the individual commissioner, because it has some elements that you can make the comment about, as you just mentioned. The commissioner can choose to do that. I wouldn't find that to be an impermissible recusal, but I don't think I can sit here based upon the indirect benefit that this would include and say they must recuse themselves.
Okay. I did have people ask me that, so I told them I would ask.
And I think it's a fair question. I understand. It's very different then if he had if we had an order on the table today that we were going to go through the local company in which the commissioner has a direct ownership interest for 85,000 max, that's clear cut. In this instance, the fact that someone stands to potentially benefit by way of some enhancement of their business cycle is the way that the law reads. I don't believe that is a sufficient nexus to say that it mandates recusal.
My opinion is if any other business in this county would want to sell masks or are selling masks, I'd like for them to turn it into the county clerk's office so that we know that there's another company out there. I didn't know of another company, so I mean, offhand, so
That's what I was gonna say before, but I was gonna let Brad speak to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and just a point of order, I feel our pricing is good because we're dealing with lots of different counties all through the state. We're even dealing with some hospitals in Florida. We're selling a lot of stuff to Butler County and Central County, and that's all on bid. And we've always responded to the county's request. And gave pricing.
I think what Brad said is
Yeah.
that
I think we're not taking advantage of
right.
the county, and a lot of it I'm not even involved in. Other people in our organization.
I know what you're saying there.
I mean, I don't know after the fact.
Okay, all right, so anyway, going back to the directive, I still feel like our resolution that we have already, 2020-20 is sufficient.
Unless some wordage is changed in item number 1 and number 2, we're probably just duplicating what the resolution 2020-20 stated.
Yeah, I mean, I got clear, certain items in this here that I just, an employee working in any space visited by customers, members of the public, regardless of whether anybody from the public is present at the time. I mean, really? No, take the thing off and get a breath of fresh air. If nobody's around you. I don't know, I struggle with some of the stuff, just.
Well, and obviously you could change any part that you would want to if you decided that you wanted to.
I think it's good that the city took and did what they did, and I think every city, if that's what they want to do, that's what they should do. I just don't think we should tell them what they should do, and I'm like Kent, I don't want to do a mandate, I don't want to tell people what they have to wear. But if the cities want to do that to their businesses and to their residences and things like that, that's up to the cities. So, and honestly, as I read the one from the city, it's a nothing burger. I mean, you have to wear the mask and you have to do this, and then we're gonna give you a fine of $25 or $50 or $100. Oh, but no, we're not gonna fine you. No, we're not gonna do this. No, we're not. So I mean, they're chasing their own tail.
Yeah.
I mean, I find it to be ineffective and effective the way it's written. And that's what we're doing right here. This is gonna either we're gonna make it mandatory all the time, or we're gonna start playing these same silly games. And
Yeah. I seen a couple this morning that just went into a business. They got it. Luckily, there was no confrontation, but somebody did confront them, and it was, they let it slide. I mean, it wasn't, so I mean, it just, like I said, it opens the door too for 911 dispatch. I mean, there's people that are gonna take this thing all different ways.
Oh, yeah. You can tell by some
That's the
emails
issue
we got.
that's the issue that the county administrator in Dickinson County told me. He said, yeah, we have a mandate with no enforcement, we're getting calls all day long.
I mean, it's just creating all kinds of confusion and frustration and all that type of stuff. And
And honestly, when I worked at, when I worked at Cargill, we learned a lot about masks. I mean, you gotta be shaved and for them to work on the N95s and stuff like that.
You gotta be shaved?
Yeah, in order for them to seal up tightly, you gotta press them right. And then on top of that, I mean, people that aren't really trained to wear masks, to think about the mask, it causes them to touch their face a whole lot more than they ever normally do.
You see
And,
that every day.
and then they're touching the keypad at the grocery store, they're touching this, and then they're putting it right on their face. I mean, I grab it by my ear straps all the time, so I'm trying to be conscientious, but I do grab it down here, I notice it, and I try to reserve.
Well, I don't know if you all heard Dr. Fauci, was that last night? Now he said you need to have goggles, tight-fitting goggles, and even better, a shield to go over the goggles.
Yeah, I didn't hear that, but I'm not
Yeah.
surprised.
Yeah.
Well, I seen the picture of him at the ball game, where everybody else had their mask up and he had it pulled down.
Oh, yeah, do as I say, not as I do.
Yeah,
I seen that. Yeah.
so,
So I don't know.
So should we just go on, not do anything, or move on to other business?
I think it will go on at this point. I really don't want to bring it back up again. I mean, it seems to be an hour out of our day all the time that
Well, even
nothing happens.
Even if we go ahead with the directive in the verbiage that we'd like to see, it's just mirroring
Yeah.
the last resolution. So that's a duplication.
Like I said, I think we have that in place. We have a strong recommendation in the resolution, 2020-20.
Strongly encourage.
Yeah.
I'll second.
Yeah, you don't need to take another action, do you? Because you've already done that twice.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
We reinstituted 2020, unless we want to put an end date on it, but I think we can repeal it at any time we feel like, so.
Okay.
All right, I'm going.
I believe Brandy's here for the weed discussion, and then Brad was also available for discussion on that enforcement, yeah.
Oh, how are you today?
Good.
Good.
So we were supposed to bring back prices for you guys, right? Josh went back and made some phone calls. He was actually able to find 2 different aerial sprayers that were willing to force spray. One of them's out here at the airport, and one of them's over in Nickerson. Now, the Matt out here at the airport, he says he has to have at least 40 acres and no spot spray. So, you know, it may only be a small infestation, but he's 40 acres minimum. And the company from Nickerson is 100 acres, just for the time, everything coming over, and no spot spraying. Both of them gave us about $8 an acre. And then we provide the chemical and charge the landowner the cost share chemical. So that's just for their services. So they're both pretty much even. They gave us the chemical that they would use, and that's all that they would use.
This is for Mustisl or
Mustisl and Cerisa.
Answer?
Yes. Out here, Central Ag out here at the airport, he said he would only be able to get to anything that we needed like September to October, which for Mustisl is fine. Cerisa, it could already be seeded out, but at least we would get a kill. The other place over in Nickerson, they didn't give him any time. They have 3 planes. So if we want to try to catch Cerisa earlier, if we needed to, we probably could. But at least we have those 2 options.
Cerisa needs to be sprayed, I know, later than September.
Yeah, it's
Maybe
already,
even-
like right now, it's
Right
already,
now, you can spray it.
it's already starting to bloom now, which means it's gonna set seeds on and,
So, I mean, if we're going to spray Cerisa, why would we want to do it in September after it's seeded?
yeah. Unless we use, and both of them will use Escort, which will sterilize the seeds, but we prefer not to get to that point if we don't have to. But, so we do have those 2 options. I know Josh and I went back and we talked about if we were to do it, it's just one of us with the truck. It's just concerning for us to even go do it, but he did say like for the, under the 40-acre minimum that we've got with these two, we figured about $15 an acre if we needed to go in and do it, plus the cost of the chemical. Of that, you know, that's kind of what we threw out there. It was,
It'd be awful hard for you to get around in the pasture with the truck.
yes,
Even at 15 for 20 acres, that's what, $300?
yeah.
Yeah. And $320 for 40 for them spraying, we provide the chemicals, so it's pretty reasonable.
You know,
Yeah.
pretty reasonable.
So we don't-
And I think that they would need to add on an administrative fee for all the notices and all of the other.
Yes.
Yeah, I was talking about our cost, so direct
Right.
cost, and then they can add on some extra for that, yes.
Yeah.
So are we in a position with any of these landowners that we could go ahead and do it?
Right now, most everybody, they make contact. They'll call us, whether they're outraged or they're not. They at least make contact with us and they're gonna do something. That's where it's left. That's where we're having the problem at is, okay, we're gonna trust you, you're gonna do something. Last year, we didn't do nothing, so now we're trying to pick up the pieces for musk thistle. For instance, the gentleman that lives in Wichita, he came in, bought the chemical from us and says, I'm going out there today, I'm gonna take care of this musk thistle. I'm pretty sure he probably didn't, and he's been a habitual for years, so we want him to fall spray. Will he do it? Probably not, so he's one of them that's on our list of, I think he'll work with us, but I don't know. It's not that he doesn't have the money either. He's,
Yeah,
so we've got several, but I don't know,
was any thought given to a cost per hour?
no, we didn't. Just because like some of these small ones probably won't take us long.
I know with some of the Sarisa problems, I talked to a landowner last week and it's already in his pasture. So I mean, he's gonna take care of his own, but it didn't do him any good until the others are taken care of.
Yeah, and then, and the same with musk thistle, either one that, and that's what we're getting, a lot of the complaints, we're getting a lot of the public. It's not what we're driving around and just finding out there, it's the taxpayer, just the other landowners coming to us. We've come to you the last 2 or 3 years and nothing is being done. So this is why we're here.
Do we have any areas in our right-of-ways that's that you've had to treat Sarisa?
Oh, yes.
Because I know I had a landowner
Yes.
say, well, you've got it out there on Diamond and 240th or whatever.
Yes.
In the ditch. you know.
Yes. Yep. And we count on the landowners, public, anybody, don't have to, to call and let us know. As soon as they let us know, within a few days, if I get out there, I go spray it. We count on them to let us know, because it can't be everywhere. But there are some, one of the road graders just called me and said, have you seen this? Do
Well,
I have not?
that's helpful because they're the ones that are driving
Yeah.
by.
Yeah, so yes, we do have it out there, and if I'm gonna send somebody a letter, I'm gonna make sure that it just sprayed before I send them a letter, that way I can let them know we've sprayed our part and would, help us out.
Well, I think time is of the essence, especially on the Sarisa. Musk thistle's already seeded, so.
Yeah, and that's what we'd wanna do, the fall spray. And so we're, with both of us kind of being new to this, of trying to force people to do something.
I mean, the Sarisa, the fall, you can spray up to Thanksgiving for musk thistle. The
Until the
county-
ground freezes,
Years
yeah.
ago, before you were here, the county did 3,000 acres of musk thistle the day before Thanksgiving.
Holy cow, that's a lot.
So, but the Sarisa is something that needs to be addressed before September, or
Yeah.
it's not gonna do any good.
Yeah, so like I said, we probably got a handful, at least 2 of the musk thistle ones, and probably 3 or 4 maybe of the Sarisa ones that we're working with them. They say we're gonna do something.
And they have a deadline?
Yes.
Yeah, and if they don't have if they don't meet the deadline, then you're notifying them that you're going to do it.
And that's kind of where we're at that standstill of, okay, it's not done, but we need to know, okay, they said they're gonna do it. Okay, so when can you get to it? Well, it'll be this, and then we gotta wait at least a week, if not two, after they said they've done it, to actually see if there's a kill on this Teresa. Because if they use escort, it can take quite a while for escort to actually kill. You can provide us a copy that you, unless co-op sprays it, then you know it's sprayed. But they can come in and buy chemical from us and never spray it. So time is always kind of against us unless we can go see that it's been done. But yes, most of our letters, they do have, call us by this date. The legal letters have it done by this date. Usually we give them about 3 weeks. Once we get the legal letter out, we give them that 3 weeks.
So do we have some of those letters out now with the date deadline?
Yeah. Like one of them, he's called and says, well, I'm working with NRCS. They said they could help me. I'm waiting on them to come out and look. They may help me pay for it. Okay, we weren't aware of this program. Josh had asked, I think somebody at FSA, and they said, no, there's no programs to help. So, I don't know.
Yeah. I believe you sent your letters, you've done your due diligence, ask them for a report by then on exactly what they've sprayed. If they haven't sprayed by then, you can give them legal notice, and I don't know what kind of money we're talking about. If $320 an acre, or $320 for a full minimum 40, and if you hired 5 of them, you've got $1,500 or $2,000. I don't know what we've got to budget for it, but I would say if you come over 4 or 5 of them, you probably need to let us know so we can how your budget is, things like that.
Just get it done and get it on tax rolls.
Yeah, and get it going. I don't think there's no reason why you should have to baby them.
Okay. Because there'll be the complaints coming to you guys.
Yeah, that's
But
fine.
that's what we're here to do, is
Yeah.
it helps everybody.
Right.
And actually, the ones that are good sprayers and take due
Yes.
diligence on their properties, it's offensive to let these guys continually get away. And then that blows over into their properties and causes them more expenses.
I agree. Just
Okay.
do what you gotta do.
Okay, so do you want us to
We'll
bring
answer
you,
those phone calls when they come.
do you want us to bring you the ones that we need to go after? Do we just go ahead and do what?
As long as you fit the policy of your timeline and you didn't just bully somebody.
Right.
Do it.
Okay. And then I'm guessing we probably need to go to Tina and Brad just to make sure what we've done is.
Yeah, we need to make sure that the letters you're sending are correct, and then when you are ready to put that on the tax roll, if they don't pay the bill
Okay.
for the forest spray, there's a specific process for that and
Okay.
a timeline that has to be followed.
Okay. Okay. Well, hopefully we don't have to, but we might have to. Okay. That should work then. That's all I had.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thanks. All right, so bring this down to our public comments. The comments were all read. I think there's one extra one that I didn't see. Oh,
Oops. Are you gonna read it?
yeah, Kevin put in there, if an application by the county employees is inefficient, or, inefficient, due to the terrain, then cost per hour will be a big deal.
I don't get that, what you're referring to.
So rather than just doing an application at a flat fee, it'd be like, so if it needs another treatment, it would stack
Well,
up.
And then if you can't get into it in the truck and you have to walk it or do it some other way, that would be a huge impact.
Right.
Can I expound on that?
Yeah.
Sorry, just having some experience with a chemical application in my lifetime. The reason the ground rigs don't go into some of those pastures is because they are rough. Floater tires cost $6,000 a piece. And when you run across rocks and all that other stuff, it gets very costly. And that's why a lot of ground applicators won't touch that stuff, because if it hasn't been hayed to where stuff's been run over the top of it or that kind of thing, they're just not going to touch it, because a 100-acre field brings them $500 worth of application and they wreck a $6,000 tire. It takes a little while to do that. So, you know, when you get into the terrain issue, rocks and little creek banks and that kind of stuff, and that's where the Ceresia is, that's where a lot of that stuff is. You know, your county employees are going to be in a place where they're going to be really, really inefficient with being able to apply. If they had a vehicle, let's say with a 40-foot boom on it, they're going to do about 40 acres an hour, and that's going to be roughly $200 worth of income if you use a $5 application rate. So, you know, you really need, if your employees are going to be out there and they're going to use a $5 application rate, you really ought to be paid $200 an hour for the time that they're going to be there, because you need that back in. Besides that, you're going to have some significant wear and tear on stuff. And that's where I come from on that.
I think we were talking about hiring it all out, right?
Well, they want to, but she was talking about when she was here, that if it's under 40 acres, they would probably have to do it in-house because they haven't found anybody that would be willing to do it, and using the truck. And so.
Okay, yeah, well, that's a good.
They'll get charged a minimum on that. So 40 acres is a minimum. They might spray under 40 acres, but you're going to get charged for 40 acres of chemical and application.
Right.
In your opinion, Kevin, then a good aerial spray, even if the minimum is like I figured $320 for that 40 acres, that's probably the better way to go, point blank.
Well, the aerial application works really well. You know, there are some fields that can be sprayed by ground rig. There's no doubt about that. But aerial application is probably the preferred route, just because of the ability to avoid that terrain. But then again, too, you got to talk about an airplane flying 120 mile an hour with trees in a field.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, it's hard enough to dodge a squirrel on the road at 50 mile an hour, let alone try and dodge a 50-foot tall Osage orange tree in the middle of a pasture.
Right.
So.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, is there any more public comments? I don't see anybody in the hallway. Go ahead and close the public comments then and go on to commissioner comments. Anybody got anything? Yep. Okay, Randy.
Yeah, we're moving through this time frame here. I don't know, us commissioners, the original 3 commissioners that sat here and went and been interviewed and depositioned and everything, and we feel we've done due diligence through trying to have hearings and all this for the wind farms. The one in the south area down here. I just wonder if the commission would like to write a letter of just expression that we've done our due diligence, and we encourage it. We'd like to see the wind farms move on. I don't know if that's the proper thing to do at this time. Maybe I need to ask our lawyer, Brad, whether that's the proper thing to do. I don't know. I'm just saying that we got a lot of people out here in our county was dependent on this, and everything's gone through, and it's held up by, I think the newspaper said everybody's dropped off but one particular person. We heard a constituent come in and say no, that they're still on it. So I don't know what's what, but I'm just saying that me as a commissioner, and I have some constituents out there that's really asking lots of questions. When's it going to happen? You know, who's holding it up? So I don't know whether that's the proper thing for us to do, to write a letter of intent or no, or just.
I think that's a question of Brad.
Is it?
Yeah, Brad was still on too, so I'm sure
Okay.
he heard.
Are you asking Brad?
No.
Oh, he's gone.
No, he's there. I'm sure he heard it. He'll probably chime in, bring it up to us, or he may chime in. I don't know.
I'll comment on that, and I was gonna comment anyway on the governor's moratorium proclamation that has expanded, because she, you know, as you probably all got it, I mean, our computers were going crazy over it. I don't know how many copies of it. But she did extend the moratorium from Highway 77 East, but she also included all the south and the old Highway 50, as I read it, which brings it up right underneath Florence. And she also included all the infrastructure, which I believe may include transmission lines, I'm not sure. Needs to be a little bit furtherly investigated, but that proclamation came out just the other day. But as far as the lawsuits are concerned, I think you got two of them confused. You got the 00040, which is the original lawsuit, is still very active. That's where the Board of County Commissioners is being sued by the people down south. And then you also have the 00025, which is where Expedition Wind is suing Randy Eitzen, and it was a group of them. But then, of course, under the SLAP law, they had to relieve the others. But that's still, it's all very, I follow it very closely, and I do attend those meetings because it does affect the county, and I want to know where the county stands and what is happening. So I do follow them at every one of those hearings. I listen to it personally. I hear what the judge says, what the people are presenting, and so on. I do read the court portal. Has anybody read the court portal documents? There's enough reading on there you could read till the cows come home of all the files.
I just see what's up on the board when the day they're having it, you know, upstairs when they have it there.
Yeah, so it's quite active still, just from what I see and what I read on the court portal. But anyway, so it's quite interesting, and I don't know how that moratorium is going to affect PC 1901, but it very well may. We might have to just keep our ears and eyes open to that, and Brad might be able to chime in a little bit on that as well.
Yes, if I'm not mistaken, I thought that the moratorium was just continuing on with Brownback had already put in place. That's the way I read the moratorium.
No, she has
The
both of them in here.
proclamation.
She has both of them in here. Sibelius's original one.
Right,
And then
and
she
then-
also included Brownbacks.
Right, but she didn't make it bigger. Kelly didn't.
Well,
make
if
it
you
bigger.
read the description,
Brownback
there's
made
a
it-
property description here.
Brownback made it bigger. Kelly just didn't change anything.
Okay,
from
well,
the past.
Brownbacks was a voluntary
Okay.
moratorium. She included in the official moratorium
Okay.
now, so now it's not just voluntary. But she also included in, as I read it, because it's a small U-50. Everything else is a big U, which means state highways. I think the small U means the old Highway 50, but I need to get clarification on that. So when I say it kind of goes up high.
Old 50,
Yeah.
Yeah, so,
40
That's one of
Yeah.
the.
50 years, no more than that. It wasn't here, old Highway 50 wasn't here when I was born, so.
I don't know, but I don't know why that's a small U, but somebody told me that means that's the old high 50, old 50, so I don't know. But,
Wouldn't believe it as fact yet, but
Yeah.
yeah.
you might be right. I'm just saying,
I don't know.
I wouldn't believe it as fact yet.
And it may be improper to do it, you know, if that active suit is still against us. I mean, I'm not gonna argue that, I'm just.
No, it's still active.
Yeah.
I mean, when I checked the portal the other day, it was still going on. Still filings happening.
Anyway, I think we need to see it in our counties, because we got people out there looking, just like the north end, we passed that one, don't seem to be no problem. Nobody's down here complaining, so I'd like to see it move on. That's my comment.
Did we get all the ads in the travel guide, Tina? Is that a done deal?
Yes, we did.
Okay, good.
They worked with us on that, and so the people at the publication themselves helped us put those in.
Did they give us any leniency on that curly bird thing?
No.
We missed it all.
No. And, to be honest, what gets in just this year.
Yeah.
There was it was a very difficult process,
Oh.
and,
It's tough.
yeah, so if something was overlooked, you know, it's possible something was, but we did the best we could with what we
I
had.
didn't hear anything, so I was just doing it.
Yeah.
So, I don't, everybody remember that the meeting next week is moved to Thursday at 9 o'clock. And with that, I will make a motion to adjourn. I second. Got a second by Randy, all in favor? Aye. Aye. Dave? Okay. 5-0. We are adjourned.
Okay.
You gotta hit it harder than